that live and work in our community. Offering competitive loan options for commercial and consumer clients. Stop by the Jessup branch and meet branch manager Mandy Yeomans and her fantastic team. Call 912-810-1540. Let First Southern Bank be your bank of choice. First Southern Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
All right, congratulations, Janet Moody, also Deborah Tyre and Fulton Flowers. They will get to go to Wild Adventures. These expire on the 5th Sunday, so you've got to use them this weekend. Time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show on WIFO. That's brought to you this morning by Murphy Builder Supply, Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings, and First Southern Bank. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Jonathan. I asked you a while ago. You don't have the answer. Did they social distance at Wild Adventures? How do they do that on a roller coaster? How do you do that? You know?
Everybody wears an astronaut suit.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. It's time now for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show. We got a special guest in the studios, Candice McKinley, local artist, here to talk about art in Wayne County. Candice, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Bob. Good to be back.
Well, you requested some time. You wanted to talk about local art. Most people are familiar with your art around town, but for those not familiar with who Candice McKinley is, local artist, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and how you became an artist.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Texas, and I moved to Jessup in '99. That was my senior year of high school, and then shortly left right after that. But I've been back in Jessup for over a decade now. When I decided to become an artist, I came back to my hometown because this is where my family was at the time, and being in a small town kind of freed up space to really kind of focus on teaching myself how to become an artist. So I learned everything I know here.
And when you say you decide to become an artist, what's that mean? How do you, people say, because when you have art in school, they brought that, for a time there was no art and music, but art and music's back. So kids I remember art school back when I was a kid. All I can do is write a stick figure. That's about it. I'm terrible at art. That was my worst subject. But how do you decide to become an artist full time?
So I guess I did things a little bit differently. I didn't, decide to become an artist whenever I was like 6 or 10 years old. I was like pushing 30 whenever I decided to become an artist. And I worked in international development before that, and it was a noble career for somebody, but it wasn't the right fit for me. And so I took probably like 4 or 5 personality and career assessment tests, like back to back, and every single one of them said, you should be an artist, you should be an artist, you should be an artist. And so I was doing some reading at the time, and I read that, it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. And so I did the math, and it was 20 hours a week for 10 years or 40 hours a week for 5 years. And since I was already pushing 30, I chose the 40-hour-a-week plan. And so no matter what job I was working or what was going on in my life, I worked the additional 40 hours a week in order to teach myself the necessary skills to be an artist.
Did you draw as a kid? Were you always doodling and drawing things as a child? Or?
I may have doodled, but I really didn't. I sketched a little bit, and it was like I think that I wanted to, but I could never get something off the ground. So there wasn't any consistency at all, and I really let go.
So when did you realize you had the talent to do this, though? I mean, there was a time when you just said, this is what I want to do. I have talent to do this.
I don't know if I realized that I had talent or if I think that now. I think that it was just, for me, it was more of a commitment. I really felt that if I worked at this one thing, because I was passionate about it. So maybe not, maybe it's passion versus talent. I'm very passionate about creativity and the creative process. So I think that, just working towards it, ultimately anybody's going to get better with 10,000 hours of practice, at anything.
Well, people are familiar with your work, but for those not, you did recently you just were down the road here doing GUI's side of their building. You've done a lot of work at Angels. What other work in Wayne County made people see?
So the first mural that I ever did was the Angels mural. And that was after Hurricane Matthew, and Jesse Thomas, who owned Angels at that time, the sign had blown down, and so he asked me if I could paint something to go back, in that place. And I said, I think you should just let me paint the whole thing. And he said, well, don't mess it up. And so that was the beginning. And that project took forever. It was like a year or something it took me, because I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, I'll figure it out, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll figure this out. And so I was out there with like little brushes painting, those roses and wings. So it was definitely, I had a learning curve, but that was the first one. And then at the same time, I was painting the interior of Gooey's here. So I painted the entire inside of Gooey's, and then painted a giant lion on right around the corner from the Angels mural, and then went to Waycross for a little bit and painted some murals at the new Gooey's location there, and then came back, and now I'm working on the exterior of Gooey's here.
Well, you wanted time to promote art and talk about art. There's been some art shows in Wayne County, but so what do you want to tell us about art in Wayne County, and what do you want to promote?
Well, So I think that one of the people that I want to promote is Jesse Thomas. He is my patron supporter, and he and his family have not only supported my vision as an artist, but also have promoted the arts in our community for years now, and also in Ware County as well. So I will always and forever, give a huge thank you to him. And I hope that he inspires, other leaders and business people in our community to also become patrons of the arts, because I think that the arts have a real capacity to showcase our quality of life. And that's something that I think, as a small town, I've heard our leadership talk about. How do we get people to move to Jessup? How do we get them to stay here? How do we showcase our quality of life so that people want to be here? And I think that the arts are a very viable option for showing people that there are things happening within our community specifically.
Well, that's the thing you want to promote art. There is an arts council, right? Are you involved with the arts council? Is that part of the arts, or is that different?
I'm not involved with the Arts Council. It's honestly, I work so much that I have. It's hard for me to commit to something if I'm not going to be able to really give it my all. So I tend to kind of work on my own, not because I don't want to be a part of it, but I just
don't have the time.
I really stay busy. I think you understand that. Every time I talk to you, you're like, "How are you, Bob?" I'm busy.
But again, you're here to talk about art, promote art. So how do you promote art other than just doing your work around town? So
So painting murals is really just the beginning. I work publicly so that I can talk about, visually, or have conversations about the arts. Like, I remember hearing a quote, I think it was from the president of the Georgia Chamber, at that time, maybe he's still the guy, that said something like, if a child doesn't visit a museum before they graduate high school, then they probably never will. And for me, I was like bamboozled by that, because there's so much that you miss by not having creativity being a part of your life. So I wanted to. I tried some different ways to kind of start the creative conversation, and it wasn't really kind of taking off with little gallery shows. And so I thought, well, what if I just put art, right on people's path? What if they can't miss it, And so that's really how I started working publicly. I went to Cafe Euro when it was located in the other place, and said, hey, can I work on some art here? And they said sure. And so that's how I started that. And in that process, I was able to start having those one-on-one conversations with people, and that never stopped. So every time I'm working on a mural, I have visitors that come by and want to talk about, their own creativity. I can't tell you, you said, I can't even draw a stick figure. Like, I've heard that.
I dreaded art class every time. I go in there and they say we're going to draw, and I'm like, I can't draw anything. Have no art talent whatsoever. So it was a struggle for me. So.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they have art back in school. Like I said, at the time they had to do away with it due to the recession, but they brought it back. And I know a lot of art teachers. There's a lot of talented kids that they love art. So.
Well, and it was gone for something like 10 years or more. So, when I hear, knowing that, and my best friends, the Youngs, are both teachers, and they have experience with like having and not having the arts, or having some art but it being very funded very little. When I hear that, it makes me want to dig my heels in even more. Jesse and I are getting ready to start a really big project, and I'm keeping a lid on it for now. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but as the date comes closer, I'll come in to let you know. But it's really exciting, and that is the kind of project that I really want to bring in. The classes from the middle schools and some of the students from the high schools, and get them involved in not the professional side, but some scary stuff, like not just being, sitting at the desk and kind of, but really having some exposure to like, creating a mural and like what it means to like paint those colors in, kind of thing.
Well, you've done a lot of drawings. You've sold drawings. So how do you decide how much you're going to sell a drawing for? Is Rainier bit yet on that drawing you did that?
No, I hid that drawing away. I love that one so much.
It's beautiful. I said they should put that in their main office.
I love it too. I told you earlier about the 10,000 hours, and I was 30 and blah, blah. That piece is called 10,000 hours, and that was the first public piece that I did, so it's very special to me.
You don't want to give it up.
So, unless the price is right, yeah.
Well, you said you had some people ask questions. As I said, you said you didn't know what all you were going to talk about, but you put it out there, and somebody asked you a question that you were going to talk about on the show. You have that question?
I do. So, during this pandemic, one thing that I've missed is being able to have those one-on-one conversations with visitors that stop by. And so I posted a message on Facebook asking our community for any topics or questions that they had. And I got a really good response from several people, so thank you to those guys for their responses. And one of our residents submitted something about self-criticism, that inner critic that you hear that says, you're too old, or you're too young, or everybody's going to laugh at you, or, whatever it says. Even, I can't even draw a stick figure, that's also a form of self-criticism. So, all of those, we hear all of those things whenever we are in pursuit of our hobbies, pursuit of our dreams, pursuit of our goals. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So I have, you guys can't see, but I have notes in front of me, and I happen to lose the one note that has the topic. Yeah. So let me wing it for a second. So the resident, she said something like, "Please tell people that you don't have to be a great artist in order to enjoy your creativity. Artists like yourself, can make a living at what they do, and that's great. But for the rest of us who, don't have any talent, or don't have an eye for color, or don't know how to draw a circle, we need to learn how to enjoy ourselves and not criticize ourselves." I think that was about the gist of what she said. So that is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, because we all have that inner critic. That's not something that that goes away. Like right now, I feel that fear of trying something new. Like sitting doing public speaking with you guys is it's growth for me. And so leading up to it, I was like, stressing out, reading over my notes like 100 times to make sure, and that inner critic, gets riled up during that process. So nobody gets out of that alive. Like we all have that. And so something that she said, about me being an artist and making a living at it, I got the impression that implies that somehow I'm immune to, being self-critical, or that so much time has passed that I don't do that anymore, and that's not true, at all. I think I hear that, that critic anytime that I'm pushing a boundary, and I'm always trying to push boundaries because I want to live a full life. You know what I mean?
All right. Again, if you just joined us, Candice McKinley, and talking about art. I said you want to promote art in Wayne County. So how do you go about doing that? I said they've had some local art shows that I've attended, but what all do you do to try to promote art on a regular basis?
Sure. So, like I mentioned earlier, painting is really just the beginning. I do a lot of work to engage our community in these kinds of creative conversations, to keep art and creativity as a focus as much as I can. So I write about creativity for Wayne County Magazine and also for Okefenokee Living Magazine, and I'm the arts and culture editor for those magazines, and so it's my job to engage other artists and hear about their stories and then communicate that to and connect people. And I also shoot documentary films and talk about the creative process, both mine and other people's. I really try to promote other people and their creative process as well, or any questions that they have. I'm really an open book. So I try to expose the creative process in as many ways as I can, so that people don't, in order to demystify it, like, so people don't think that they can't pursue their own creative.
So you meet other artists in Wayne County? I mean, how many people do you know that are involved in art in Wayne County? And is there a lot of artists in Wayne County, or just a few? Or
yeah, there are several artists. There are. Do you know? Are you familiar with Studio Red? There's Linda Wasden. She has a studio back behind Jones Prescription, I believe, and they're the Linda's mother. D-Dot had the Bucket Ladies, and so Linda now has a lot of those same ladies that they have a studio back where they practice several times a week. So I think there's maybe 8-10 or more ladies that are artists there, and of course one of my really good friends, Jonna Eden, and then tons of musicians and people that are involved in theater. Yeah, absolutely, I'd say.
Oh, good. Well, anything else you want to discuss today? Or I said you said you want to come back several times and just bring other people with you to just promote art in Wayne County. Is that correct? That's something I would love to do. Like, if I can rope them in, is it okay? If I can bring people in. A lot of people have fear of these microphones for some reason. We tell people they don't bite, but for some reason a lot of people fear the microphone. Yeah. Well, and I would say to that, feel the fear and then do it anyway, because it's an important conversation to have. So I'm going to go out over the next few weeks and see if I can rope somebody in to come in and talk a little bit more about this creativity game. Well, again, we appreciate you being here. Like I said, we look forward to having you again. But like I said, most people can see your artwork on the GUIs and Angels buildings. Is the one in GUIs, you said you still have some touch-up work to do? It's not completed? It looked like it was completed to me when I drove by. No. Right now I'm just laying in the flat color, so just a solid color. I haven't even gotten to the fun stuff, which is where the details and stuff come in. So I've got a little way to go. Do you visualize this at night when you go home? Do you visualize it? Or how do you have it already? Just at night, like between the hours of 8 and 9. already have it planned out what you want to do, or is it this?
That's a question I have. Who did you come up with the design, or is that a collaboration between you and Jesse?
So it's that's a collaboration. So Jesse says, and honestly, bless his heart, Jesse says, "Okay, I have this idea, and this happens often. I have this idea, and can you do this?" And I say, "Yeah." And so for this particular one, he said, I want to have something with the Gooey the monkey and the Wayne County Yellow Jackets, like playing football and, have something kind of like a winning combination. And I said, okay. Well, so then I show him what I actually designed, and he was like, that is nothing like what I told you to design. But then he came back like the next day, and he said, I looked at it, and he said, it's probably my favorite thing that you've ever designed. Like, I really like this much better. So right now the current piece is like Gooey the monkey and the Yellow Jacket, and there's this really epic sunset, and it's all set inside of the Yellow Jackets football stadium. So it's like a hometown community pride.
Well, it looks nice. I look forward to when it gets completed. But like I said, I've enjoyed your work around town. Like I said, you're welcome anytime to come on the show. Like I said, if you can rope in some other people,
I'll do my best.
But we'll try to get you back in.
Okay.
Like I said, once a month. That'll be good.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. I appreciate you being here on today's show.
Okay. Thanks so much, guys.
Okay. That's going to do it for today's World Famous Butch and Bob Show. Have a great day. Stay safe.
All right, World Famous Butch and Bob Show on WIFO at 8:17, brought to you by Murphy Builder Supply, Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings at First Southern Bank, and, of course, Bob, 4-day weekend. You've got things to take care of, and I'm taking some vacation time, so we are back on Tuesday. So have a great holiday weekend. Enjoy the 4th. Be safe. Good morning to the Big Dog, WIFO at 8:18.
Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jessup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jessup.
Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings restaurant in Jessup is now open for business, practicing social distancing, but still serving that great food that Damon's is famous for. Come inside or come through the drive-thru, but Damon's is open inside and welcomes back its customers. The menu's the same, the service is fast, and the food is fantastic, and the sauces remain the same, mild, wild, insane, or inferno. The number is the same, 588-WING, 588-946.